Hey there, welcome to Unwomanly, the podcast where taboo topics are never off the table and discussions with an open mind and dirty mouth are always encouraged. My name is Jen Danczak and I'm recording in my apartment in West Hollywood, California with a very special guest. She rocks a red lip better than anyone I know, straight from New Jersey and living that bi-coastal life. She's the boss business bitch we all can learn from. Welcome to Unwomanly, King Kris. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here, girl.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I just think it's insane how we met because I was a server and you were a guest at the restaurant.
Yep.
And I literally was like immediately drawn to your energy. Like, you're so nice. Loved your accent.
Yep.
I mean, you have so many titles, girl. Like entrepreneur, creator, founder, owner, and even senior clinical scientist, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that entail? Like, you take part in cancer research, right?
Yeah. So I primarily oversee drug development for cancer research. So it's essentially monitoring clinical trials before the FDA approves a drug, a new drug or therapy for cancer. And so I have scientific oversight of the research sites that's actually producing experiments. So it's an interesting career.
Yeah.
Very, very dynamic, but
oh my God.
Sometimes I think I'm like a lot more humble in that role than people, because some people are like, wow. And I'm just like, it's like super administrative. I'm like rolling my eyes in the back of my head. Yeah, I've been in life science for 13 years and been in cancer research for about 5. So I see firsthand how drugs are made, how drugs are developed, like that entire process and what it takes to bring a drug to the market for people. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And like I'm assuming you got your bachelor's and your master's.
Right. So I have an associate's in business administration marketing. I have a BA in sociology and an MBA in business administration. And I got an online certificate from Harvard for improving global health.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Not many people can say they have a certificate from Harvard.
Yeah, certified in improving global health from them.
Oh, hell yeah. Do you think that those degrees really helped you succeed in even becoming an entrepreneur as well?
Girl, listen, let me tell you something. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I just know I wanted to be very successful and have like a liberated and abundant life. Yeah. And I just was like going to school, trying to figure shit out. I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be all this shit because there was no guidance really on what you should do. It's always the status quo: go to school, get a job, and I was like, I just want to run shit. I just want to, I've known that for a very young age. I've even wrote in my high school yearbook, like I see myself being wealthy and owning a lot of businesses, but never quite knew what that entailed. So I kind of stumbled on cancer research. I didn't even I was actually losing my job and I was just like, I have to do something.
Get out of here.
And that's when I was interviewing, unemployment was running out, and I was like, fuck, if I don't get an answer to this question, like somebody tells me yes. And that's when I got the job and I was like, oh, this is dope. Like I really like enjoy it. But, I need to do something that solves a bigger problem that I've been seeing in my industry. So that's how I started my first business.
Because I know you did an investment company, right? And you still have that?
Yeah. So I'm the owner of Moneystone Investments, which I'm a professional equity investor. So that's just building portfolio. I'm super big on financial literacy. So it's a big thing, learning how money works first, and then you can develop wealth building. And so if I plan on being wealthy, I need to develop that mindset. So I'm big on that, and it really changed my life because I used to be around these women at work and they would just always talk about money, and I'm like, shit, I feel broke. And I know I know we make like the same amount, but you bitches are talking about like you know. And I was like, well, what the hell am I doing wrong? And so this guy I was dating at the time, he was like a financial manager, and he introduced me to this lady that worked at JP Morgan, and she was just like, listen, you need to start to think about money differently. And it was game on ever since. So now, you know, I've put myself through trade school. I study the wealthy, the elites, and I professionally invest in equities. You know, compound interest, real estate investment trust, gold. You know, I have like a portfolio that I manage. I've actually taught stock trading classes before, like any information I have for people.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have like one stock portfolio that someone else made for me. I've barely touched it. I'm so bad at investing already. Oh my God. Good for you, girl. Like, was there any specific piece of advice that she told you that really sticks out that you do every single day, like when it comes to financial
the
stuff?
Discipline and just keeping my mind sharp with what's going on around me. Like learning the whole investment world gave me a lot of insight on the economy and like how things work and how it affects me. But she just told me to stay disciplined. Like everything I want is on the other side of discipline, and that stuck out to me. So me personally, like I will, you know, if I'm shopping I could be shopping for a pair of Christian Louis Vuitton's, food, and real estate investment trust all in the same day. So, you know, I want to own a lot, and I understand that's what the wealthy does. And in order to acquire that, you have to do that through ownership, and it's something that, you know, my family and my community could use too, because financial literacy is something that's lacking in the Black community vastly, where, you know, no one in my household was talking about stocks and, you know, saving and 401k. It's like, what is that? How does that work? Taxes? And that wasn't common language in the households. But, you know, making six figures, it's like, you know, I want to have something to show for it eventually, not just, you know, ticket items or, you know, nice trips and things like that. It's very important that I define my financial legacy, like and leave that behind. So I'm big on that.
Right. I mean, a majority of people in this country, in the world, are paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly. You know? And it's no way to live life. Like it's just no way. And it's not abnormal or crazy to say, listen, you're looking at a future millionaire. Like it's nothing crazy about that. But I tell people all the time, like when they tell me like, all I do is work and sleep, and I'm like, that's not a life. Like that's not, I know I'm not put on this earth to work, pay bills, and die. Like fuck that shit. Like it's abundance out here. And so, you know, I'm big on my money, making money. I'm big on, you know, if my job tells me they don't need me anymore, that I don't have to scramble and go on unemployment and borrow and things like that. I've been through before when it, you know, I fell on hard times. So I'm very big on that, like knowing how money works, knowing how these banks work, just all of those things. And my friends and I have these conversations often too, like when you're like, oh, my 401k, and I'm like, listen, if you knew how to handle your own money, you wouldn't rely on others to do it. Like, you know, just gain that knowledge, because that's what's going to put us in where we are not on Social Security, because there won't be Social Security when we get ready to retire.
I was thinking that too. I'm reading all into that too.
Yeah, so it's, you know, it's been a game changer, and she gave me a strategy essentially to, like, you know, pay myself first. So you know, so my business Money Stone investment, it owns whatever equity I want to invest in. So it could own tangible gold, it could own land through the market, it could own real estate through the market, different types of stocks, currencies, my life insurance policies. Like I have a trust under that LLC. And so how I look at my money, I look at it as a business, and in a business you need to manage and plan for it. And so the three major wealth robbers are inflation, taxes, and fees. And a lot of people plan to make more money, but they don't plan for their tax liability. So all the money I want to make, I want to be able to keep. When we look at the giants of like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they're billionaires, and people are like, well, why they don't pay taxes? They understand this game, and that's what I follow. And I understand that it's a mindset first. Like my bank account has to catch up to my mindset, because in my mind I'm already a multimillionaire. I'm already in those habits. So that bank account got to catch up to the multi-millions. You know,
and at least you're in tune with that, because some people will start living that lifestyle and immediately go bankrupt. So because it's one thing to get the money, it's an entirely different mindset to keep it. And I think that's what set you aside from the rest. I think, you know, especially as women, I think we're so agile in the way we
solve problems. So getting money for us, I don't really see that ever being a challenge. Being in cancer research, I have an extremely competitive skill set. I've actually was interviewed with a Harvard Medical School student, and they gave me the job instead because of my skill set. So because
you're a boss business bitch.
Right, period. So, it's definitely where if I wanted to do that for the rest of my life, fine. But I just know being happy and doing what you love is very important. So that's, when I started to get into investing, I love the technicality of it, like figuring out like, what's the sentiment of the market and what's this. And that goes into my science brain and that methodological thinking. And, so that's, it all kind of gels really well together. And once I started just, going in and out and seeing that I was making thousands in the stock market, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And, looking at my account and say, hey, I just earned like $150 when I just woke up. Like, it might not be a lot of money to people, but that's $150 less that I have to work for someone else.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And if, doing that every day. So, I created that as an entity because that's how I look at my money as a business.
Yes.
So I manage it that way. I invest it that way and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get over that own personal hump of being like, can I be a business owner? Can I actually do this? Because so many people have it in them and don't realize it, myself included.
Yeah. And even when you tell me about your brand and your podcast, I'm like, I get really excited because I'm like, wow, like, women, we can use this space to be ourselves and not be judged for lacking feminine energy.
Yes.
So, I love your brand. I think your brand is bomb. Like, even when we just meet for lunch, we're just talking about business and shit, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's bomb. I think...
I love you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I think what challenged me was just... I always had that confidence of like whatever I want to do, I know I'm capable of doing it. Mm-hmm. So I never really had that like apprehension of that. But just in my career, I've been challenged a lot to step up to the plate to lead, and that helped me, in my business and even in my life. When I realized how people gravitate towards me, when I realized the opinions of my friends and family, and they're like, yeah, and that kind of has me like, maybe I can do this. But I've always thought like, listen, I'm gonna do this, and it's always it's a huge thing I think entrepreneurs need to have is a lot of confidence and trust the process. Like, please trust the process.
Yeah, because everybody wants to be rich now.
Yeah, ignore the noise because it's a lot of noise. We have access to so many things, and you see people like living this lifestyle you want. You see people, businesses are taking off, but that's a mirage. Everyone's not going to show you the process and the downs, the ups and downs of it. I always say entrepreneurship, if you don't want to quit like at least every day, you're not doing it right. Because that's what you're going to go through constantly. And even when I created OurHealth, it was the same thing. I just felt like it was the most impossible thing in the world. I still do kind of feel like, oh my God, like it's so much to do. And there's other platforms that's very similar to mine, and just seeing what happens in healthcare and the medical disparities and discrimination and things like that. I created the platform for that very specific reason, and I had the most obscene amount of confidence. I didn't see I can't. Like, I didn't see that this wasn't going to happen. I just figured this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And girl, the roadblocks started hitting me, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, money is like oxygen to us entrepreneurs. So it was that, it was the guidance, it was the networking, it was which way do I go? But I got really comfortable and excited about the journey and not the goal. So that was a major part, because even looking back on my personal life, the journey is what is the most profound thing that I can say. Like, I'm pretty much numb to when I tell people I'm a clinical scientist or they know I make over $100,000 a year. I'm pretty much numb to that, because that's really the goal for a lot of people. 6 figures, masters, great career. And I'm pretty much numb to that. But when I look back on the journey, that's the part that always excites me about it. Yeah, more than anything.
How far you've come? Absolutely. And you're not even close to where you're going, girl.
Exactly. I'm just like not even there yet. I don't feel like.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And how are you able to find like your niche? Because a lot of people realize like you got to have that, you know what I mean? And myself included as well. Because you, with OurHealth, you nailed it. You found something that needs to be done that no one else really, explored yet. Yeah. You want to talk about that? Like how that came about, how OurHealth came about?
So I know that being in healthcare, I genuinely love the field of life science and cancer research. And I would listen to my friends and family have these terrible stories about their experiences with doctors, how they felt lack of communication, lack of treatment, and essentially lack of respect in a health setting. And I never could quite understand that, because I felt like, I know I do what I love. I work with some great people. So how can this happen? And I just felt like it was my social responsibility to do something bigger than myself for people who look like me, because I pretty much got tired of being in a position to do something and not doing it. And I feel like that is true boss level, true entrepreneurship, is where you are in servitude of others and you're serving someone other than yourself. Like your calling is a lot higher than you. So that I just felt like, all right, I'm going to start a consulting company. That's what it was at first. I'm going to go in these doctors' offices. I'm going to talk to them about, just diversity and inclusion and cultural competency. And that was super ominous, because even at work, doctors are like, what do you want? Like, and I'm just like, listen, I'm your fucking monitor. So it was pretty ominous. And then I was just like, well, my one friend, she would always call me and say, I can't find a doctor. And I'm like, well, look on, your insurance. Nobody wants to look through a list. Nobody. And I was just like, in my apartment one day, and it just came to me, and I was like, I need to create a platform where I connect people who look like me to doctors who know how to treat them. And that is how I came up with that entire platform of OurHealth, also giving us options, and where I create not just another app that people can look for a doctor, but where they can learn and feel comfortable and find empathetic care and find a sense of community. And that's when I started to become extremely passionate about it. The more I would talk to people about my idea, because I know our ideas as entrepreneurs are our babies, but I know just going through the journey, never marry the idea, marry the solution, because the solution can come in so many different forms. So not sit there and getting stuck in the idea of like, I have an amazing idea, because it's nothing if it's not executed, right? Like knowledge is powerful, but that's only if it's executed. So that's how I feel about like this whole idea. And I would just talk to people who look like me, and they would say, yeah, I have this bad experience, and I just want to go into a physician's office where, I'm comfortable with someone who understands my social economic background. And I said, that makes a really great point, and I would explore that point further. And even in research, I would see there weren't enough Black people in clinical trials, so I would raise the question in meetings, how do we know if this is working for other genetic makeups?
Oh my goodness.
And so those, and that's how I got into it. And I just been working on it ever since, looking for beta users. I want the honest feedback from our community. I'm mentally preparing myself for whatever technical issues we're going to have, whatever backlash I'm gonna face, because that's the early phases of it.
Right.
But I'm looking super forward to just seeing this launched and seeing the finished product. But just it was really what I saw in my career, and really what I've heard from people in my community that just said, you know what, it's fine to have this great career that I love. I'm traveling all over the country. I'm making, a great salary. I could do whatever I want when I want. But what does that mean if I'm not helping anybody? What does that mean if I'm not solving a solution? So I feel like it really is my passion, purpose, and commitment to solve these issues within healthcare.
Yes, girl. And that's something that this country has really struggled with in general. And people can't even afford it to, and then you come along and are giving solutions that people may not realize. Like you mentioned to me when we were at lunch one time, like some people can't find a dermatologist because they're used to, Caucasian skin,
Yep.
That's just that's crazy to me, because I never realized
exactly.
that.
And what's funny is, I don't think that was something I've thought about, right? Because we don't necessarily think like, oh, get a dermatology checkup. We go when something's wrong, specifically. And that's due to lack of health literacy as well. But then, looking through medical, just knowing what I know in the industry, I'm like, you know what? There aren't any illustrations of Black skin in these books, or how to treat Black skin, like what a rash would look like on me, so these things are consistently overlooked, and it will deter anybody who looks like me from seeking healthcare. And I studied sociology, so my dissertation was regarding my history, and a large part of it was just discussing these poor medical ethnics and practices that were passed down through generations of medicine. And, you know, I remember researching this one study that came out back in 2020 where they interviewed about 30% of medical school students, and they all said, yeah, we don't think Black people feel the same amount of pain that others feel, so they undertreat. So this is a major issue. Yeah. And so just looking at it, you know, you get taken back by that because you can't fucking believe it. You're like, no fucking way. But it's a really big issue in medicine, and that's why, you know, we're underprescribed pain meds, and these certain things happen because the ideologies is our pain and illnesses are our inevitable fate, but we are faulted by a system that was never designed to include us. You know, I have grandparents that, you know, were alive during the Jim Crow era, and it was illegal for a white nurse to treat them. It doesn't matter if you're in an emergency room dying, like, you know, Black people have died in an emergency room based off that law. So these indoctrined ideologies are passed down through medicine, and nobody checked it. Like, it just went under the radar. So, you know, I'm starting to see the change. I see a few businesses pop up. There's a Nigerian medical school student, Chiderabe Ibe. He started to illustrate Black bodies in a book. So he's actually creating a medical textbook, featuring Black bodies, just to show medical students this is what it would look like if a Black woman was pregnant, if a Black woman came into the dermatologist, if you see, you know, everything, dentistry, ophthalmology, every sector. So it's a major issue, and I love discussing it with people of other races that don't realize it, because I think it's such a great conversation to have. You know, when, you know, because everybody has friends and colleagues and, you know, people of other races, but it's great for us to understand each other culturally, to know that we're not just neglecting our health. It is the omnibus feeling of thinking that we're not going to be treated well in a health setting, and it stems from so many major historic points, like the Tuskegee experiment. You know,
I was reading. You said we will never have another one of these. If you know, become
exactly. Like my community will never fall short of that. And that was, you know, it was so many things in that instance. It was the lack of health literacy, the poverty. It was so many things that they targeted in that experiment. And this is why. What was
that experiment? Because I'm kind of like, what was that?
Yeah, so this experiment lasts for about 30 years. I don't think people realize how long this experiment lasts. So they were testing syphilis. It's really similar to what we do in clinical research, but it's heavily regulated. At this time, it wasn't. So they appealed to a bunch of poor Black farmers and said, listen, we'll pay you X, Y, and Z, or we'll pay your medical bills, you know, if we can test this experiment on you, and, you know, the syphilis. And so they injected them with the syphilis, and they could have treated with a penicillin shot, but never did. And they just allowed them to deteriorate and die. And so a lot of them went blind, schizophrenic. And then, you know, these men, they go home to their wives, right? Intimacy or whatever, have kids. And these are things they're spreading throughout their family because they didn't treat them with the penicillin shot. And it went on for a long time. And, you know, that just added to the distrust that the Black community has with the government and any government agency. And I'll tell you now, in my industry, it is highly illegal to approach anybody for any type of clinical trial without them signing an informed consent, which is a 16-page document that outlines the risks, the benefits, the payments, who's conducting this, who you need to contact, what is in this experiment. And I have to actually look at that the moment I'm on a research site. Like, did this patient consent? If not, remove them immediately from this experiment. They have no knowledge of it. Shut this all down. So that's part of my job for sure. Like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that document has to be reviewed a few times. It has to be approved by the ethics committee. So this one experiment has lingered throughout history for us, and that's probably why you see the surgence of the Black communities. Like, I'm not getting COVID, I don't trust the government, and these traumas and these experiences that just passed down throughout generations for us, because it wasn't that long ago. It was like around, I want to say Tuskegee was the 60s, 70s, about the 40s, around the 60s or so.
Okay.
And so it wasn't that long ago. It was I think my grandfather was maybe 20, 30 years old. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, we still have elders in our family that, you know, could have been affected by this, because it was a, you know, a STD that you could spread. So, So, and that was part of that. You have the gynecology aspect of it, where, you know, they illegally experimented on women.
Oh my goodness.
And so, these people are dubbed the founding fathers of medicine. So if they're teaching their ideologies down the line, then we have this seamless way of thinking when they treat a Black patient, and it's a subconscious bias, right?
Exactly.
A lot of it is very subconscious. And that's what I'm trying to fight against, the subconscious bias. And some of them don't, realize, is it that all doctors are racist? No, but they do work in an inherently racist institution. And so that influences their decisions and when they're caring. So,
and generational as well.
Generational. Yeah. And so, that's what I want the problem I want to solve. I've actually had 2 great doctors in my personal care that was not Black, but they were culturally competent enough to identify something within my own personal health that saved my life. So these are the things that I need my community to connect with, because I feel like one of the disparities with COVID was because we are not going to the doctor enough, and the reasons of thinking they're not going to tell me the right thing. I'm not going to be treated well. I'm not going to be communicated with well. I'll go in for pain and they'll think I want to solicit narcotics. That's a common story in healthcare, and they'll say, no, take this Advil, and you could literally be have the most excruciating pain. And this is why there's a low number of Black people that are addicted to pain meds, because we're underprescribed it anyway. We don't even have the opportunity to be addicted to it. So it's all of these underlying, social cognitive.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's just so under the radar. So I'm trying to bring as much awareness to this as possible, so we could create this seamless industry. Because health is wealth, girl. That's my brand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We could talk about all this shit we want to do out here, but if we ain't healthy enough to do it, it ain't gonna happen, especially mental health,
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And what kind of questions do you suggest that people do ask their doctor, to make sure they are competent to help them out?
Yeah. So, just asking them questions. So just building that relationship with your doctor when they come in, and, they immediately, they have about 9 minutes to spend with you or so. That's just the structure. So just ask them things like, doc, are you sure? Is there anything else you can look for? Always be honest. Full disclosure, they're not there to judge you. They're there to treat you. Who gives a shit what the person that is caring for you thinks at the time? So just giving full disclosure and following up and being thorough. Hey, what is this medicine? What does it do? What is it for? What are the side effects of it? What are my treatment options? What are other things that I can do to help solve this issue or to help prevent it? Provoke those type of that kind of conversation. Yeah. And I know it's ominous and it's intimidating, because we're not often in circles where we're running across doctors and lawyers and stockbrokers and things like that.
Right.
Things are changing drastically now due to the impact of technology and other things. But, it can be very intimidating, right? You're sitting in there and you're like, oh God, I don't really want to tell this doctor this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know, blah, blah, blah. It's, I go in there, I'm like, listen, doctors are low-key borderline my fucking therapist. I'm like, dude, listen, I woke up, this is what I did, from A to soup to nuts, because I understand as a healthcare professional, these things are needed to care for you properly.
Oh yeah.
So always ask for treatment options. If you're given any type of medication, know what the side effects are, know what you're supposed to take it for. Always schedule a follow-up to make sure that whatever condition you have, you're healing from it properly, or you have healed from it. And, have that conversation with the doctors. Anything else I can do, or, is there anything holistic that I can do? What do you think? So just don't let them come in and look at their clipboard and check stuff off and push you out the door. Do not leave that office until you're comfortable. So whatever questions you have, ask. It's fine. That's what they're there for. That's what they decided to become a doctor for. It's their Hippocratic oath to care for you. So, if you're not comfortable, if you're confused, don't be ashamed of it. You didn't go to medical school, so I don't expect you to know some of these terms. Shit, I'm in cancer research. I'll be like, some of these words, some of these medical words. So, don't be afraid of that. And I feel like a lot of people in my community are, even when they tell me these things, they come and they call me and they ask me a lot of questions. I'm like, dude, I'm not a doctor. And I'm like, well, you have to ask these questions. Do not leave until you feel comfortable with knowing what your condition is. Stare them in the face and say, break this down to me in layman's terms, as if you have to re-explain this to somebody who just was born today. You know,
Right.
just start to build that relationship, because that is the person you have to trust to care for you. But be in the know, be in the driver's seat. Like, don't sit in the back seat. Be right, autopilot your own fucking health. Like, seriously,
It's
be like,
true,
yo,
though.
doc, like, you know, can I see my labs, and let them go through those labs and show you what they mean, and, you know, things like that.
We deserve to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's our body, it's our health. And I remember getting a lab workup after I recovered from COVID, and I was just sitting in there like, well, and I look at labs all the time, and it's different when it's you, right? It's so fucking different. And I'm just sitting there like, what is MCV? And he was just like, he explained it to me. It was the lab value, and I was like, oh shit, you're right. I know what that is. But you know, that's my approach. Like, what is this? Why is this high? What does that mean? You know, ask those questions.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to encourage my community to do.
Right. And
Yeah.
luckily with your app that you're coming out with,
Yeah.
will already alleviate a lot of that confusion, because
Yeah.
a lot of these doctors that are going to be on that app already have met this criteria.
Exactly.
Of being
Yeah.
able to help.
Yeah, and knowing that, you know, that they're servicing a specific population that has been disserviced by this industry for a very long time, and just knowing that the genetic makeup is different, and there's certain things to look for. And I remember my doctor told me verbatim, you know, there was a lab value of my glucose, and he said, this is typically high in African American people, but I'm not going to overlook this because you're black. I'm going to check into this more. That's the type of care that we need, because those things are vastly overlooked, because the predisposed notion is, okay, they probably live in a certain environment. They probably eat, make a certain amount of money to where they eat a certain meal. And yeah, this is going to be, that's it. You know, it's their inevitable fate. And we also accept it as such too. Like, hey, my mom got, you know, diabetes, or my mom has cancer. And it's like, what kind of questions are you asking? Because, you know, we say all the time in urban colloquialisms, closed mouths don't get fed. So what is it that you're asking so that you are very privy to your own condition? That's what I mean by being in the driver's seat. You got to be very knowledgeable of your health, because if you catch a lot of, you know, if you catch something, that could mean life or death for you if you don't know what the fuck is going on with you prior to.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
And also a major issue, the mortality rate of infants with you know, black infants. I have a friend that's a labor and delivery nurse, and you know, the rate of death with black women and babies are 3 times higher than any other race. So this is another you know, big issue. Prenatal care is lacking for us, so that's why there's an influx of black women seeking doulas and having babies in their home. So that's my app. Also plan on listing those options for my community as well, because I want to create that environment where they feel comfortable with options. And if they do not have the trust in the providers, it's our job to rebuild that trust that the Tuskegee experiment destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have certain types of care? I mean, you already mentioned dermatology and you know, prenatal. Are there other like certain ones that you're going to focus on, or literally everything?
It's really comprehensive. So it's mental health therapists, which, you know, mental health is a big thing in our community. OBGYNs, internists, oncologists, dentists, ophthalmologists, holistic practitioners, registered dietitians, right? We, you know, like, again, going back to our diet and things that are heritage food that's common in our culture, causes these influx of high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity. You know, so being linked with registered dietitians, you know, all types of practitioners. So I definitely want to start with primary care physicians. Everybody needs one. I know most of us go to the doctor only when shit's wrong, but we need, you know, preventative care is something that will save your life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So your body's like a car. Don't wait till the check engine light comes on for a fucking oil change. Get your oil change periodically to keep that car running smooth, and that's the best way, you know, I can describe it.
Your
you know,
analogies are incredible. It's so true.
Yeah. So
and my engine light is on right now, bitch.
Right? Girl, because let me tell you, I just got my OBGYN checkup, so I'm big on it. I do my checkups all the time, and I was fortunate to find a black dermatologist too, because I go for a skin screening as well, and she'll like look at like very thoroughly at my skin. It was able to find like a small mole that she biopsied, and it was there for years. And it was just like, so many doctors was just like, oh, okay, that's just, they didn't recognize it,
exactly.
you know? Everything was fine, but it's just that extra thoroughness and knowing, you know? So I plan on listing, you know, those practitioners. So I'll start with doctors, internists, oncologists, and some holistic practitioners as well.
Nice.
To give the community options, because that's what they told me. They said they need options. Right. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And it has really cool features, like, you know, it has where nearby parking, GPS embedded in. So you click, you know, once you hit the link of the doctor's office, it navigates you.
Oh, nice.
It has a patent pending community boardroom where it's kind of like, you go in and you join a conversation on what people are saying. Instead of like a Facebook group where you have these conversations, you'll go on the app. Like, you know, I'm looking at this doctor. Let me see what they say about Dr. So-and-so. You can personalize your patient profile. Yeah, you could write your reviews. We're not going to forget your reviews. We're going to solicit those from you. Like, how was your experience? And any doctor that, you know, continues to fall short of anything less than 4 stars, we'll consult with, hey, what's going on? Where, you know, you're on this app for a specific purpose. They're not being satisfied. Where's the disconnect? So they'll go through our diversity and inclusion consultation if they fall short with that. Because, you know, I work in healthcare. It's the gauntlet behind that fucking desk.
Like, I can imagine.
So, you know, I kind of, you know, I see it from both worlds. And I think that's what gives me a competitive edge over other apps that are similar to mine and other platforms that are like mine. It gives me like that competitive edge. We write blogs. We write a lot of blogs to increase health literacy. You know, I've wrote one, a very intricate one on how viruses work, how vaccines are made. Like, it's super sciencey, but you know, I try to break it down as much as possible. So that, you know, just a while you wait type of feature. So while you're in the office waiting, you could just go on the app, look at, you know, listen. And if you don't have time to read, you can listen. There's Audible blogs. So things like that, like, just makes it very interactive. And it just empowers my community to manage their care, you know? And that's the biggest thing that I feel like is so important, is our convenience, because we're trying to do so much. We're trying to recover from things that were destroyed throughout our lifetime, and the shit gets busy, you know what I'm saying? So it's so convenient when you could say, you know, I got, you know, you'll get your reminders for your appointments and things like that. And then we're going to scale up to merchandise. You know, we're going to have like some nice merch.
Little orange.
Yep, we're going to scale up to that. You know, and just different things. And I just really plan on this being the preferred platform. So, girl, I'm so ready.
I'm so excited for you. Oh my gosh.
I'm so ready. Thanks.
And I mean, I've been on like, you know, cedarsinai.com and like looking at, you know, different doctors, and it'll tell you like what race and stuff they are. And, like, what will you say to people that are going to be like, oh my God, well, what about the white people? Blah, blah, blah. Because, like, you know, I know what I would say, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. And I've heard it before, like, so many times from, like, colleagues. It's like, well, and even my business manager, mentor, actually, was like, well, you know, if I was a white guy, would I be able to find care too? Would I be able to? And I said, yeah, you know, you will be able to also find care, but you also have to understand that this is a unique population. This is an underdeserved population that's being treated. You know, if you're considered the majority, so it's easier for you to access this care. My target is the disproportionate rate. Right. So this is extensive to LGBTQIA plus community as well. So my operation business manager, she is well reputed. She works at NYU now, a transgender woman. So we're working on those type of benefits and doctors as well. So we're targeting marginalized groups to get the care. But, you know, all races are welcome for sure. All races, all genders are welcome for sure, for absolute sure. You know, you might be, girl, you might, you know, let's say in the future, you know, you and your man you might marry a fucking black man and have some black babies. You might want to go to that doctor, you know? Like, so it's definitely, it's really for everybody. It's really to do to build this community of everybody, because that's just the reality we live in. And girl, we live in fucking California. You see like multiracial shit everywhere we go. Everywhere. So you know, it's definitely for that. And you know, Cedars-Sinai is, and that's another thing too, the challenge of like these Kaiser Permanentes, these City of Hope, these organizations that are like locked down, right? And they're starting to realize the lack of diversity and inclusion as well. So they have their own incentives that you know, I'm I plan on meeting with and influencing and seeing how they're doing things. But
Good.
diversity and inclusion means inclusion. And I always say, diversity is going to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. See, the white people are at the party already. Now we're trying to ask the black people to dance.
Yes, bitch.
That's how it go.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow. That is so true.
Yeah. So that's the point of it.
It's so important for people that look like me to realize how important this is for people like you. You know? And people don't.
And that's the conversation that, I want to have. You don't know what you don't know. And if I was growing up in a white household, I probably wouldn't expect to learn about the woes of someone who doesn't look like me. That's just not something that someone's going to teach because they don't experience it, right? And that's just the reality. And I don't see I don't think that's the issue. The issue is the blatant blindness to it. And some people have this subconsciousness where they're like, just like you, like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Just like certain things my Asian friends go through. It's like, I didn't know that. Yeah, because I'm not Asian, now it's time to have this conversation and solve this problem collectively together, and that's how I look at it. So that's why, even though the major challenge is that there are only maybe 6% of black doctors nationally. So even statistically, there won't be, girl. And even in my industry, we make up 6% of cancer research professionals, girl. That's no joke. And it's
my God, you're giving me chills.
Yeah,
that's just absurd.
It's absolutely no joke. Like the lack of, the representation. And so, representation is wildly important because, again, I think we're starting to realize, like, okay, this person is just as capable of this job or, buying this car or buying this house. And it's becoming where people are realizing, like, shit, we were doing this for so long. We didn't even realize this was an issue. So now it's time to have those kind of conversations and collectively solve it. So, with that issue, to make the community feel comfortable. I don't want to see, a white doctor. I don't think they're going to treat me properly. Just knowing that they will be vetted before being listed on this app, and black doctors will be as well, because you got some of them that grew up in a different environment where they don't come into contact with their community as much. So everybody's going to be well vetted before being listed on this app. And if you're white, Asian, or whoever, and that's your preference of what you want to see, by all means, join.
Dang. And so then how do you even design an app? I've never done that before.
Girl,
how did that whole process go? Going?
This is no fucking joke. Like,
you have to have a designer, or do you do it yourself?
Yes. So I wrote out my business plan. It's over 100 and some odd pages. But
yes, bitch.
Within that business plan.
Mine is like 10. It's just mumble jumble.
Girl, I was writing that shit like, what the hell, every idea and thought I had.
Good for you.
So I was writing it out. It started as a sketch of services. What does this look like? What is my unique value proposition? What's the solution? What's the problem? And so within that part of the business plan, I have these specific features that I designed, that I know that I want to see, that I know my community wants to see. And so I went to a app company that builds these types of apps. Now, a lot of people do this on their own. And me being like one of those semi-perfectionist, like one of those type of people that's like, I don't want to put bullshit out there, and this is something that has to do with people's lives.
Yes.
So I have a third-party app company that is going to do the entire. We actually have a meeting tomorrow, the kickoff meeting.
Fantastic.
And they're building it module by module, and they meet with me every week. And it's this is what I want, this is what I don't want. So right now, what I'm doing is getting people to go to my website, sign up to beta testers, so you could be an early adopter. You could look around, play with the features, and you provide feedback to us on what worked, what didn't work, what you like, what you don't like, what you've seen, what you didn't want to see. So
is it just OurHealth.com, or
it's www.ourhealth/wixsite.com. Don't judge me, y'all. Entrepreneur here, struggling entrepreneur.
You'll get that.
I'm getting that all out the way. I do have the domain name reserved, OurHealthOurWay.com. So everything is super in early development phases, but I've been pushing the brand on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. Just doing all types of things, just pushing the brand and getting our name out there.
I mean, you're posting. I'm seeing it all.
Thanks,
and that's that's people realize you got to keep up up with even that too, and do trademark stuff. This is where it gets pricey.
Yeah, girl.
But it's important, you know?
It's very important, and that shit is no joke. And I think, you know, entrepreneurs, we kind of skip over that part. We just want the end result. We want the money, you know, we want the fame, we want the be on the Forbes list. But, you know, those things are nice. But what's important to me, I feel like if I save lives, if I improve someone's health, or if they came to me and said, yo, I listened to your Audible blog, or I read it and it helped me, that to me is going to be the ultimate success. It is not going to be successful for me to make money. I'm financially okay now. Like, you know, I'm not where I'm struggling in between paychecks. I don't borrow money, you know, I'm good now, you know, but that to me is going to be the ultimate level of you know, success. And then, you know, the different cars and the different bigger houses and those things, that's going to just be the icing on the cake for it. And you know, the fine husband too, girl, because you know, I don't play, you know,
it's coming. It's definitely coming. But you're going to be the breadwinner, bitch.
Yeah, right. You know, my niece's mom made a joke the other day. She was like, bitch, you are the husband you want to marry. I was like, that is so funny, because women, we are like, you know, they let us, you know, they gave us the opportunity, and we showing them we've always been worth it, and we've always been capable of doing this. One thing my grandfather used to always say, if you want something done right, you better get a fucking woman. You better hire a woman. And I say, granddaddy, that's smart. You right?
Yeah.
He's smart.
And it's smart. Maybe you were lucky and had, you know, like grandparents and parents that were able to do that. But I know a lot of people have to get over that hump of what they were taught, and you have to reverse that. Like, you know, girls aren't supposed to do this stuff. Or, you know, so it's just, it's important to really put yourself out there. And people don't. And
because it's a very ominous thing of feeling like you're being judged. And that's why I love the Unwomanly brand so much, because it just it's a space for women to, you know, be themselves, right? Not be this same traditional way of what people describe as femininity. It's not weakness. Being feminine is strong. Women are capable of pushing fucking humans out of their vagina. If that's not strength, I don't know what is. You know, so it's, you know, and do that and run businesses and excel at work and go to school. These are all examples of strength. So I think the definition of femininity is just so skewed in people's minds, where people all automatically think of it as servitude, the weaker race, the weaker gender of individuals, you know, the submissiveness, the humbleness. And I don't think that defines being a woman. I think what defines being a woman is waking up every day saying, putting your feet down to the ground to where it shakes the devil, and they know that you're walking in your purpose and in your path and your position, and you're going to do whatever needs to be done to get to that point. That's being a fucking woman. That's being a boss, right? You're confident in yourself. You walk into the room and your energy commands attention, because you are just walking on the shoulders of your ancestors and everything they sacrificed to get you to where you are. You have that. You know that. You're falling in love with that journey. You might be sitting at the table saying, you know what, Jen, we can't get the champagne now, but bitch, see me in a couple of months. We're gonna be popping all these damn bottles. Yeah, like, you know, that's what it is for me. You know, and it doesn't have to be where I need to be dainty. I could say fucker shit, right? That's what I'm really thinking. That's what I mean. I'm a woman. I know what I mean, and I know what I say. So, you know, it's really that balance, and it's such a stigma. Women are always judged, like, oh, you're just being a man because I'm going out making my own fucking money. Who else is gonna do it for me? You know, like, so, you know, that's what being a woman is. But it takes a special kind of man to like really understand that. And I think when, you know, it's such this war of feminine and masculine energy where you know, women are adopting more masculine energy because we don't have the opportunity to be super dainty. Like, I don't have time for that shit. Like, you know, I have to run to Target, I have to be in this meeting, I have to go here, I have to do this, I have to catch this flight, and that's a woman. That's fine.
If I gotta put a painting up or something, if I gotta fix something around the house, I gotta do it.
Exactly.
You know?
And I don't have to have all these aesthetics to be feminine. I don't have to have all this going on to, you know, to wear lipstick to say that's what makes a woman. It's like, no, it's the virtue. Like, you're not paying attention to the virtue and the nature and the energy that's feminine. And I grew up around strong women, dominant women, and so that level of like confidence. And I'm just like, listen, when we first had that conversation, I'm like, girl, you better tell that man what you want. Don't be lying to these men in the bedroom. You know, that comes from women know what they want.
Yeah.
Women know what they want. Yep. And that's a woman. That's not, oh, you just want me to, men get super intimidated. It's like, no, I want sex and I want it to be casual. Oh, because you're not, the ball isn't in your court, right? Do you understand that? I'm a woman. I know what the fuck I want.
Yes.
So that's what I think,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So, that's why I always tell you when we meet up and we have these conversations that I absolutely love your brand for that.
I love you so much. You're literally my number one hype girl. Like, you really are, and I really appreciate
I love
everything.
I'd be like, oh, this is good, girl. Yeah, let's get up there and talk shit. Like, girl talk, Yeah.
You're awesome, baby. When do you think that you will be done with this app so we can tell people that?
So I am looking to, it takes about 4 months to develop. So
really? That's it?
Yeah.
I was thinking longer.
Yeah,
Damn.
4 to 6 months. So hopefully, I want to create more of a realistic goal. So I want to have this done by like the end of summer. And then I'm doing a major launch party. There's going to be like red carpet type situation. Yeah. We're going to have the Unwomanly podcast there recording live. You can interview different users and things like that. Yes. You can just go around and report live. That'd be so bomb.
Oh my God, girl.
So this is my vision, to have all of this. And I just want to do something that is so much greater than myself. I feel like I'm in this position for a reason, girl. I feel like these people hired me over a Harvard Medical School student for a reason.
100%.
I feel like when I walked in that room, I ran back out. I will never forget this. And I almost didn't follow through with this. When they hired me, I called my grandfather. I was trembling. I said, oh my God, these people look so intimidating. Nobody looks like me. And my grandfather said, the reason why you need to be in that room is because nobody looks like you.
Exactly.
And it was game over from there. And everybody was standing up like, I'm a doctor and I've been in the industry. And, we were all introducing ourselves at the first meeting. I was like, swallowed that pit, and I was like, my name is such and such, and this is the experience I have. So I been with it ever since. So yeah,
you are such a boss business bitch. I'm serious. That's why I admire the fuck out of you.
Oh, thanks,
girl. They always say if you are the smartest one in the room, you
don't need to be in that room at all. You don't need to. And that's honestly, I've really learned that. Like, I love to be around people that inspire me, that literally have me on the balls of my feet. And that's how I got into the whole financial literacy. Like, I was sitting there and these bitches were talking about moving around $75K from one account to I was like, what the hell am I doing wrong? You know, and that just hit a spark in my head. And, coming out here to LA, meeting phenomenal women such as yourself. Shout out to my homegirl, Bria, who's the founder of The Right Kind of Black Girl. Just running into women like that. And that's also a space where, Black women could be quirky and nerdy and these type of ways that we're not usually seen. And that's just a space. And it's actually diverse, because there were also non-Black women that were joining. Like, we want to know more about the dynamic of Black women, like the multifacetedness, what you've been through, what's your history, what's your experience, right. Because it's just a conversation that anybody, that we all can have. Absolutely. Collectively and productively.
If you're not learning, you're not growing.
Exactly. Like, I want to be a student of the game for the rest of my life. Like, I feel like the moment I stop learning, I'm done. So, running into people like that out here was really it was really the eye opener for me. Like, it really was. Like, I can fucking do this. Like, I need to do this. Mm-hmm. And I run into so many Black people that's like, I cannot find a doctor. Like, I don't know where to look. I can pay for it out of pocket if needed. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, this is it. This is what I got to do. This is my calling.
Yeah. And how do you approach potential investors? Because I know that is a huge deal with business.
That shit is no joke. It really is. For one, they want to see something super tangible, MVP, which is minimal viable product. So they want to see this prototype. They want to see that I have users. They want to see that people are, that it's in demand, and that I'm actually able to weed out the competition. So my competition now, my biggest competition now, is ZocDoc, which is an app that I've found doctors on. Okay. So, you go on ZocDoc, you book an appointment, very similar to my app, but, sure, anybody can do that. But I'm creating a sense of community on my app. I'm creating a platform where people can learn and be comfortable and feel safe and really look for the care they want. Right. So that's why it's OurHealth, our way.
And it's not just the search process. There's
right.
more to
it's more to it. You get your know before you go patient checklist, know what questions to ask, what rights you have as a patient. The app is HIPAA compliant. You're knowledgeable about that. So I have these competitors, Health and Her Hue, which is a Black health app for Black women because the mortality rate of infants that die, you know, Black doctors 24/7. So I have some of these competitors, but watch out. I'm coming because
absolutely.
I got some things in store in the pipeline that I feel like I'm keeping my ear to the ground. And what's keeping me grounded and what's keeping me humble is my career, because I love what I do, and it's keeping my eyes and ears open in the industry 24/7. It's giving me that humbleness of this is a reality. Because as an entrepreneur, it's easy to get caught up when them dollars start rolling in, when that success starts rolling in, the cameras are flashing, you're like, yeah, I made it. You know, and if it's not where I'm successfully executing the goal of saving someone's life, then I don't feel like I'm successful at it. So that's what's keeping me in the know of things. Like, okay, this is an issue. This is something else I could have, you know, I could solve. This is another problem I could solve. This is something else I could do. Because girl, I've been having so many ideas for businesses. I'll be like, after this, then this. So it's just always about being, doing something greater than myself.
And it's so frustrating that they already want users. They already want, you know, to see that information. And it's like, dude, like, it's one of those, like, you have to have the degree in order to get the job.
Right, exactly. It's the same scenario. The investors definitely want to see the business plan, which isn't a problem. They want to see that I have a tech founder, which is hard. A tech founder, someone that's technical on the team. They want to see this amount of views. They want to see that this is in demand over my competitors. Like, and it comes down to monetary wise, like how much are you making now? You know, how often people use it. Like, are they finding success with using your app? What makes you different than ZocDoc and Health and Her Hue and Black Doctors 24/7 and all these other things? So it's been a challenge.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I bet you this happens to a lot of entrepreneurs.
And it discourages you entirely. You're like, man, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore. But I just feel like, no, this is it. This is my calling. So I keep pushing through every day. I meet with different business mentors, and they groom me for what investors are going to ask me. And the thing that I like about my business mentors is that they are not Black. They are white men, and they used to be angel investors. So they give me the game on like how to get someone interested who doesn't necessarily know about the issue. How would you convey this message to someone that potentially wants to invest into your company, but is not well versed on the issue because they're not Black?
Right.
And that was a huge eye-opener for me, because I was just speaking to like, how do you not know this? It's the reality of it is that isn't my reality. I didn't grow up as a Black person. I don't know what it is like to be faulted by this system. And so that helped me a lot. So it's that pitch, is telling that compelling story that gets across to them. You know, having your numbers right. Because one thing about investors, bottom line is the money. If I give you $50,000, I want $100,000 back, and I want to know how I'm gonna get it. So
and
that's
when.
So that is something you have to be airtight with, like really sharp with.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that.
Yeah, so that's been the biggest challenge, is getting the investors and the money, you know, together. But like I said, I keep pushing. I'm pushing the website, and people are signing up. Like, I'm really excited about that. I send out my blast emails. Hey, what's going on? We're doing a giveaway. You know, we're doing certain things. You know, so.
And that you already highlighted a challenge right there, that you're literally showing how many Black people have to suck up to these white investors.
Yeah, it's crazy because they don't understand the unique needs of our community, right? Like, we're a marginalized group, so we have these unique needs, and they don't get it, and it's so hard to like explain. And you know, one guy, he said he was like, well, if I'm a white guy, I can't go on your app. And I'm like, no, that's not that's not it. Like, you know, you can go, but and honestly, even if you don't look for a doctor, even if you just want to go and look and see, you know, educate yourself a little better about what people around you go through, like, that's even an option for you as well. But this is specifically designed for people who've, you know, haven't been included into, you know, mainstream healthcare. The same way Rihanna came out with Fenty and it freaking had the entire makeup industry shook, and it made everybody look like, damn, we didn't include Black women all these years, you know. So it's kind of that provoking that thought process. But he had the same question, and it keeps my mind sharp in knowing that I have to convey this message very well.
It's also a shame that it had to take this long for somebody
for someone to just say something's not right here. Yeah, and I think a lot of us, even Black people, I think we just we just don't realize like this is what we're, you know, we just don't look at it like it's an option, it's a solution to this, because it's been haunting for so long. It's been this reality for us for so long, and I think some of us accepted it, and then I think some of us, you know, we have like that ancestral spirit that's provoking us to say this isn't right, let's do something. The same way, you know, some of them slaves, when they rebelled, this isn't right, we got to do something. So some of us have that spirit in us, you know, where we're just like, we have to solve an issue, you know, we have to solve this, you know, and I admire entrepreneurs, any entrepreneur that, you know, says, I am solving a unique problem that's unique to either my race, gender, cultural background, whatever. I'm solving that issue. I respect that, because it is up to us to solve our own problems. Nobody's coming to rescue us. Nobody's coming to save us. Yeah. It is up to us. And that's what I do realize. And I don't, you know, I don't give a fuck. I'm not looking for someone, you know, to fly in with a cape unless it's Idris Elba, but I'm not. That's the only man I want flying through my window, girl.
I love you.
Open that. Oh, you know.
You're like, no, baby, I'll open it for you, babe.
Yeah. But you know, it's up to us, you know, and that's what I think the beauty in our entrepreneurship is. Like the same way you're like, I don't want to be judged for being less of a woman if I can talk about my period. Like, listen, I'm going to create this platform where we can do this. Yeah. And so like, it's big respect, much props for that. And that's, you know, I want us to be able to solve our own problems. Yeah. And listen, we could do it. Like, I'm going to have to fight through those investors that don't understand. I'm going to have to make them understand. I'm going to have to tell a better story, and that's fine.
And if they don't want to even deal with it, then they're not the right one for you.
Exactly. That's fine. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the experience that I can sit and, you know, talk to. And these are gems I can drop to my niece and nephew. If they want to start a business, I could tell them things I've been through. So that's why, you know, one thing about entrepreneurship, do not fall in love with the idea, fall in love with the goal and a journey. Right. Like just please do it. And if you're not doing anything that makes you happy and that you're not passionate about, don't do it, because I feel like when you do something that you love, you don't have to work. Like, it's something that naturally comes to you, and everybody wants instant gratification. And a lot of people don't even know why. Like, a lot of people don't even know why. Like, they just feel like these things bring them happiness, and it comes from inside out. So
it's all what we're taught and what we see on TV and everything like that.
Yeah.
Imagine if you thought of this idea before the internet, before apps were even a thing. Oh my
God, this would have been huge by now.
Oh my
It would have been so big. I mean, girl, listen, I could have done so much shit. I could have started the hairline. I could have started so many different. I mean, I went to India. I studied global business in India under my MBA, girl, and ran into the man that sold hair to vendors here.
Wow.
Like, I could have done a lot of things. That's just something I'm not passionate about. And so, you know, even if with me not being a millionaire, I don't feel like I'm deprived of anything, because I'm genuinely happy. I'm healthy. I make the salary that I want. You know, I'm doing what I love. I'm saving lives. I'm, you know, working on this project. I'm good.
You call it the Yelp of Physician Search.
Yep, I call it the Yelp of Physician Search. I want it to be that preferred platform that if you're ever looking for a doctor, for preventative care, for checkups, if you want to go to a holistic practitioner because traditional medicine isn't your thing, that's where you go. The same way you go to Yelp for when you're looking at reviews for restaurants. You're looking at reviews for these doctors. You're giving your comments. So that's what I want it to be. OurHealth, our way.
Yes, girl. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for this launch.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go so many places. I'm so excited.
Cannot wait. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, girl. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much to the boss business bitch, Kris, for being here and coming onto the podcast. You are incredible. And obviously, make sure to keep up with Kris's company, OurHealth, and the app by following OurHealth on Facebook and Twitter, and get connected with a physician that will suit your needs in your community. So keep a lookout for that launch. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And keep up with me and the Unwomanly podcast by following at Unwomanly Podcast on Instagram. And yes, we have merch. So go to the Instagram page at Jen Danczak, and we'll click on the link on the bio. You'll get some of that. But yes, thank you so much for listening.
No problem. Thank you.
Go out there and start your own businesses, bitches.
That's right. Boss up, girls.
Tell us all about it in the DMs.
Yep, that's right. Ain't nobody coming to save you, girl. Get up, put 10 toes down on the ground, and show the world who you are. The world is waiting for your value and your gift.
You're amazing. You're amazing. I'll see you next time here on Unwomanly.